So we are continuing with the Unit 4 of BBA 205, and in the Unit 4 I said it basically contains topics such as corporate social responsibility, corporate governance, and in corporate governance we take the code of ethics of various companies. I also described conflict of interest in the last lectures, and then of course there is Consumer Protection Act, which is 2019, which is a modification over the previous act. So this is basically what is contained in the unit 4. In the last lecture, I described to you the four models of corporate social responsibility, and I told you about the ethical model, and which is voluntary commitment by companies to public welfare. And I said it's a model, we can say, that which was also popularized by Mahatma Gandhi when he spoke about the business owners being trustees of society's wealth. We also describe statist model, and I'm taking this from the book of Business Ethics and Corporate Governance by Professor A.C. Fernando. He describes statist model of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, in which state ownership and legal requirements they determine the corporate responsibilities. I will also explain to you how this government has uh, willy nilly made corporate social responsibility a key legal requirement, and have we kind of tilted towards the statist model. We will examine in the subsequent presentations also. Then the Milton Friedman's model of liberal corporate social responsibility, in which corporate responsibility is limited to private owners, to shareholders. Okay, and then the stakeholder theory, which is the most popular theory by R. Edward Freeman, in which he said that companies respond to need of all the stakeholders: employees, shareholders, customers, creditors, communities, country, farmers, all members of society which have stake, direct or indirect, even environment. Triple bottom filter approach we discussed. In today's lecture, I will mainly dwell upon what are the advantages of corporate social responsibilities to business. I will also try to give you examples from a research which was done by a research scholar for Safaricom. Safaricom is a leading a leading telecom brand in Africa, and it tried to determine how do employees react towards their company's CSR model. And we will also take some examples of Boston College on how they feel CSR becomes an intangible part of reputation, and how reputation is an integral part of a company's intangible asset, and how it can even have an impact on the financial performance or the share value of the company. All of this I will explain to you today. So remember, corporate CSR means corporate social responsibility, and we are trying to understand if this is just the buzzword, it is something just fashionable, or it has really an impact on the business. And do businessmen view CSR as something which is pushed down their throat, or do they willingly try to embrace CSR as a means of a tool, or as a means for enhancing their corporate image? And in the ultimate analysis, CSR being one of the important tools in impacting even the financial results, we shall discuss. Let us now try to examine what are the advantages of corporate social responsibilities. Because whatever you say, nobody wants to uh, do anything which does not pay that person something in return. Of course, there are people who are saints. I'm not denying that. There are some people who are very noble minded. But business as a whole, if you see, a businessman invests, a businessman or a body of business, it invests money, time, energy, intellectual capital. So all kind of personal investment, reputation in a business. So naturally, if somebody puts all of this into any endeavor, any human endeavor, somebody wants something in return. The concept of Gita, that karmane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan, that means you do your work and don't expect anything in return, is of course something which we should strive for, something we should try to achieve at. But in reality, we find in day-to-day reality, all business endeavors, all business efforts are linked to return. Of course, the return could be immediate, the return could be mid-term, and the return could be after a while. But there is a business plan, and in this business plan, the ultimate aim is return on investment, along, of course, with the customer satisfaction and finding a need and filling that gap between the need and the existing set of solutions to fulfill that need. But there have been empirical studies done to show that corporate social responsibility, it helps achieve business ends also. So first point is, it has been said that it results in improved financial performance. Sometimes ago, Harvard University, they have found through a study that stakeholder balanced companies, and I'll explain to you what are stakeholder balanced companies. They showed four times the growth rate and eight times employment generation when compared to companies which are just focused on shareholders and profit maximization. I know, I know, I have to explain it again. So Harvard University study was, they took a set of two sets of company, one which were very high on CSR score, one which was not high on CSR score. They found that companies which are high on CSR score, their growth rate normally in terms of market share or revenue growth share, it was four times than those companies which did not have a high score on CSR. Now, how did they score on CSR is a different matter, but suffice to say that the study was very objective. So, four times the growth rate for CSR, companies which follow CSR, as compared to the companies which don't follow CSR. In terms of employment generation, that means in terms of ability to scale up operations and give more avenues to employment, the CSR companies, the companies which followed CSR, they were, eight times, eight times higher as compared to the companies which did not really have any good CSR score to show off. Excuse me. So improve financial performance. Second is that corporate social responsibilities, it enhances brand image and reputation. First of all, let me again explain the first point. What is meant by stakeholder balanced companies? As I said, there are many stakeholders. Principally, if you take the original stakeholders, would be the shareholders, or the people who have invested in the business. So a person who has invested, let us say there is a shareholding is 95% between me and my students. So I am the major shareholder. I am the major stakeholder. But stakeholders are not only investors, not only people who are not only financiers, bankers are also stakeholders. Employees are also stakeholders. Vendors are also stakeholders. Customers are key stakeholders. Environment is a stakeholder, right? Environment is a stakeholder. Also, also community at large, society at large, your country, humanity is a stakeholder in your business. So a company which is able to balance all stakeholders. So while concentrating on the growth trajectory, it does not it does not fail to address the issue of managing natural environment, the flora and the fauna. That company will be called a stakeholder balanced companies, which looks after the employees. It also, but it gives centrality to the customer, but does not demean its own employees. Like HCL, remember HCL of Noida headquartered, it says employee first. How many companies will say employee first? A BPO company, they will all say customer first. So stakeholder balanced company. I like HCL very much, let me admit. Wipro, TCS, Infosys. I like these companies because of the way they put special emphasis on employee welfare, and they put employee at the heart of all their operations. So this was meant by improved financial performance. Second point on the PowerPoint, as you say, is enhanced brand image and reputation. Reputation. What is reputation? Reputation is how people talk about you. When somebody says, "Oh, this company is an excellent company," Tatas have an excellent reputation when it comes to giving back to the society. Image. If you say that the Airtel network cannot fail, or the Idea network is best in Western UP, image of Idea network. Of course, now it has come with the name VI. Idea network is best in Western UP and Haryana. That's what people said, and there was a point in time that is true also. But let's take overall. Let's not take geographical locations. Enhance brand image and reputation. It is said that a company which is said to be socially responsible can benefit both by its enhanced reputation with the public as well as its reputation with the business community. So, if your reputation is good, if you are socially responsible, your reputation is good, you are able to, you have a greater ability to attract capital. Okay, I give you an example. You take our own college, DME. It has an excellent reputation among teachers. It is generally said in the circle of colleges that I know of, DME's employment conditions of teachers is the best. I think I can place it at the best in terms of timely payment of wages, in terms of benefits, in terms of having a humane approach, in terms of leave policy, in terms of maternity leave, in terms of engagement. So what happens is, if if DME wants to attract talented teaching professionals, isn't it? Because it has a good reputation and a good image, it will be able to attract the best talent. You see, many teachers come to us from reputed universities. They want to join our college because they feel that we are a human organization. I am not praising it because I am a DMite, but I am telling you from my own experience. Okay, look at the way students, look at the way we are teaching our students. We are putting video lectures, then we have got TLs, and we are giving class notes so that anybody see. Not every student has got great connectivity at the time when we are having TLs. So at the leisure, the person can download the video and he can watch it. And if nothing else, he has access to the class notes. I gave you an example. Believe me, organizations who do this thing with passion for their stakeholders, they have enhanced brand image and reputation. And once you have enhanced brand image and reputation, I have said that it helps you to get access to capital. So tomorrow, if I want to apply to, let us say, HDFC or ICICI for enhancement of working capital, and if I have a good reputation and good image, the branch manager will say, "Oh, my nephew goes to this college and he praises this college very much," or "My uncle teaches at this college," or "I have heard about this college. It has got an excellent brand image and reputation, so we have access to funds," isn't it? See, Fortune magazine, it publishes a list of most admired companies list. Why are companies most admired? What is the need and necessity? We know we can classify the company by biggest companies by revenue, biggest companies by market capitalization, biggest companies by market share, biggest companies by growth. Why is the necessity to come out with a list of most admired companies in the world? This is because admiration, admiration, esteem, trust, all of these are a matter of feelings, and These are the components which build your image and your reputation. And your reputation is good, you have got access to access to good funds. And think about it, goodwill, is it not an intangible asset? A company which has tremendous goodwill even in the time of crisis, that company can manage to stay afloat. Steel Authority India Limited, among public sector companies, or if you say Tata Steel, what kind of a great reputation the company has. Infosys, Ajim Premji's companies, highest donation, highest philanthropy. Shiv Nadar, salute to the man. I mean, hats off to the man for what he has done in the field of education, and what he has done in the field of empowering the youth. So that is why their share prices is trading at where it is trading. Tomorrow, if HCL wants to launch an IPO, do you think that anybody will have a doubt that IPO will not be a success? Even a private placement will be a huge success. So these are the two things: improved financial performance and enhanced brand image and reputation. I will take some more in the next slide. The third example of or the third advantage of a company believing in practicing corporate social responsibilities is what is increased sales and customer loyalty. So what does it mean? It means a large number of studies have suggested an increase in sales of companies considered to be socially responsible. Let me give you an example here of a website. It is called fairware.org brands. And I was going through this website, and what this company does is that this company talks about various clothing company. It talks about the clothing industry, which employs a large number of child labor. Okay, so and this website says it's called Fairwear Foundation, and it says we know there is a better way to make clothes. We want to see a world where garment industry supports workers in realizing their rights to be safe, dignified, properly paid employment. And it has 140 plus member brands. What does it mean? It means it has 140 plus organizations that have signed up with this website, which pledges that it will support child labor free clothing. What happens in poor countries like Bangladesh, also let's admit it, India, lot of clothing companies, they engage as labor children who cannot be employed as per the rules of the company, as per the law of the land. But children are poorly paid laborers, and instead of going to school, they work in these factories. So increasingly, there is an awareness in Europe and in other developed nations that the clothes which they are able to wear, which they are able to procure from some of these poorer countries at a very low price, is in a way encouraging child labor in these countries. So it has signed up many companies, many buyers, many brands which sign a child labor free pledge that they do not buy any of their clothings, or at none of their partner factories child labor is used. So this becomes a very powerful statement of intent of the company, and customers, they like, especially customers in developed economy, they like such a commitment on behalf of the company, and it leads to increased sales of such brands, because people, they show a desire to buy products based upon value based criteria, such as sweatshop free. Fourth advantage of CSR is that it is it increases the ability to attract and retain employees, because if an organization is socially responsible, that means it also is committed to all its stakeholders. I spoke about balanced stakeholders, and I said that employees are a very important stakeholder. So the if the reputation of a company becomes such, for example, Maruti Suzuki has a reputation of being an equal opportunity employer and a good employer. It has streamlined system of shift working, and it believes in paying overtime. If the worker actually has to do overtime beyond 48 hours in a week, Maruti pays double the wages for each hour. Okay, so that means they are able to attract employees and retain employees. In public sector, I have found Hindustan Aeronautical Limited (HAL), which is able to attract and retain employees. Government organizations like DRDO is an excellent organization. Everybody who is an electronics engineer, who is a worker, even a technician in any multinational, he wants to work for a DRDO lab someday. So this speaks volume of the CSR, corporate social responsibility of such organizations like HAL, like DRDO, like Bell, which is uh, Bharat Electronics Limited. I have found ITI trained technicians, diploma holders, engineers. They want to work for Bell. It's a dream company. Yeah, it's a public sector. It does not pay an exorbitant amount, but because of the working condition, because of the facilities it extends, the medical facilities and everything, people want to work for Bell. It is one of the most admired companies. So HAL, Bell, DRDO Labs, Maruti Suzuki, Indian Oil Corporation, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, these are some of the companies people want to work for. And as many people want to work for them as people who want to work for Tatas or Reliance or other private sector companies. Fifth is Fifth advantage of CSR is it necessarily reduces regulatory oversight. What does it mean? That if a company is considered to be a company which is highly ethical, which believes in balanced stakeholder growth, such companies have a reputation and they don't catch the eye of regulatory company. They are not subject to audits, or they are not by the government entities. There is a freer reign and less scrutiny, and it doesn't bother these companies because, but one thing is, if you are having regular inspections, authorities are coming checking your books, it leads to waste of time. Sixth advantage of CSR is, and once again I give credit to Professor AC Fernando for enlisting all these points in his book Business Ethics and Corporate Governance, published by Pearson India, and I have bought the Kindle edition. The sixth is innovation and learning. See, innovation and learning is critical to long-term survival of any business or any living entity. Innovation and learning. Why? Because environment is changing rapidly, the social dynamics are changing, the economic conditions are changing, the technological background and the artificial intelligence led foreground, it is changing all the time. Corporate responsibility, it stimulates learning and innovation within the organization. For example, once your employees are more motivated, they would have propensity to work harder, devote more times to research. So when an employee is motivated, let us say that the marketing manager of a company, which is a electronics company and which is doing very well in India, and they will want to go outside India, identify new markets, establish more business opportunities to maintain competitiveness. And this is indirectly related to the excellent environment in the company, which is as a result of balanced stakeholder growth, one of the advantages of CSR. So the last two advantages of CSR, as enumerated by Professor AC Fernando, is seventh, which is easier access to capital. I have explained to you in great detail that how companies who follow the path of CSR, a good corporate social responsibility coursework, how it is able to uh, get easier access to capital. And the last but not the least is that CSR helps in operating cost, and this has been demonstrated directly as well as indirectly. But first of all, talking about easier access to capital, the Social Investment Forum 30 reported it's a study of 1999. So even then, it was said that the companies, the companies which were following the principles of CSR, they had more than US 2 trillions in asset in the portfolio management. On people often, use parameters like ethics, environment, and CSR when they invest in companies. When they invest in companies, in operating cost, the Professor Fernando has given the example of reduced use of agrochemical and efforts to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. This can reduce operating cost, as well as this can improve environment performance. He further says that the companies can reduce waste disposal cost as well as gain additional income by selling recycled material. Efforts like flexible scheduling and other such programming increases productivity in the company, he says, by reducing absenteeism and attrition. This is very important. Absenteeism and attrition. So if a company is follows CSR, and in the process of following CSR, it takes good care of its employees, because employee is a premium key share stakeholder of the company. People love to go to work. People love to go to work. People love to spend time with their colleagues. So it reduces absenteeism and it reduces attrition means number of people who leave a company, also called turnover by HR managers, human turnover. So if there are if you are finding in your company does not have a good reputation or social reputation, people would want to leave companies. Many times it has been observed that all things being equal, people who work for a company which has a good CSR program, they are motivated. At this juncture, let me give you an example of a research paper that I received, and I would like to give this research paper is about a survey which was carried out in Safaricom, and the writer of this paper, I will explain to you. It's a research scholar, and the scholar has done a research on Safaricom and the benefits of corporate social responsibility. The writer of this paper is Martha Edongu Atudo, and employee perception and benefits of corporate social responsibility by Safaricom Limited. Employee perceptions of benefit and corporate responsibility, and this paper was submitted in the University of Nairobi in 2014. So you see that it's not a very old paper. Safaricom is the number one telecom services provider in Kenya. Kenya, as you know, is a big country in East Africa, and Safaricom is the number one provider, and the number two provider there is right now it should be Airtel. So uh, some of the questions which were asked, some of the questions which were asked by the employees, and corporate social responsibility has made a significant contribution to the growth of company market share. And out of five employees, almost four employees agreed. So I'm telling you the real survey which a scholar has done in a company called Safaricom, which is a market leader in telecommunications in Kenya. And the question is that CSR has made a significant contribution to the growth of company and market share. The mean score out of 5 is 3.74, which is a good score. Corporate CSR has led to organizational learning at Safaricom. Mind you, I explained to you that CSR leads to innovation and research. So here is the live example. The research study says, and it covered almost a large cross section of employees, from managerial employees to the top managers, to the middle managers, to supervisors, to the people at the worker level. Corporate social responsibility has led to organizations new innovations. Almost 3.5 out of 5 say a strong yes to that. CSR has contributed to pride, happiness, and engagement in employees towards Safaricom. Again, a overwhelming yes. CSR has enhanced company's reputation. 3.6, a score of 3.6 out of 5. CSR is associated with increase in employees earning. This is a tricky question. See, and why I'm using this research surveys, it's a very honest, earnest survey. Only 2 out of 5. CSR may not lead to increase in employees earnings. CSR has contributed in improving Safaricom's relationship with investors. 3.5 out of 5, a score of 3.5. CSR has led indirect increase in sales, a score of 2.4. So, at least 50% people are agreeing. CSR has contributed to the optimization of corporate image, almost 3.5. Cause CSR has led to improvement in working environment within organization. Once again, a high score of 3. CSR is associated with, very important, 11th question. Corporate social responsibility is associated with attraction and retention of qualified employees. A score of 4.57. And it's a research story done by Martha in 2014 in University of Nairobi. This is called research in motion. She carried out a research in a live organization, and it has been proven that CSR is associated with attraction and retention of employees. A score of 4.57 out of 5. This is my summation of how CSR helps an organization, especially the last point I made, that in a survey, a score of 4.57, that CSR helps in attracting and retaining qualified employees. I hope you liked this combining of research work and the theoretical work in this presentation. In this part of the video, I want to talk about some of the studies which have been done by RepTrak institution. It has a reputation model, and actually this RepTrak is a trademark of RepTrak company. It was formerly known as RepTrak Institute, and this is a company in US which publishes reports on the reputation of corporation and places based upon consumer surveys and media coverage. It is actually headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts, and it has done a lot of research along with the Boston College. In 1999, Charles Fombron, a professor of New York University, Sten School of Business, and another colleague from Rotterdam School of Management, I think C. Swan something, they founded Reputation Institute, and in 2020 the company changed its name to RepTrak. So coming back to the link between CSR and reputation, basically the when they did a survey along with Boston College, so they defined some four important core areas of four core areas: trust, esteem, admiration, and good feeling. All these are four areas, they say. They are four core areas of reputation. So first is trust. How much do you trust a company? Inherently, when a company's name is taken before you, what comes to your mind? Do you hold that company in esteem? Do you give respect to the company? Trust. If can you bank on that company? Depend on the company. Is the company doing good enough so that you develop a admiration towards that company and generally a sense of good feeling, a feeling of positive disposition towards that company. So they have developed a model. I don't want to go into the detail of the model because it is not necessary at this stage. What I am trying to say, I am trying to show reputation of a company. As I said, it's always intangible asset of a company. It can help company get a good press coverage. It can help company do many things. But what exactly is the reputation? What are the core areas of reputation? Trust, esteem, feeling, and admiration. You can say this is also a definition of what is reputation. Is the company held in high esteem? Do people admire it? Does it generate a sense of well-being, good feeling, or does it generate a feeling of trust or mistrust? Okay, now what RepTrak or in its earlier avatar as Reputation Institute said that reputation's seven dimensions. First is product and services. Are the products and services high quality? Are the product and services value for money? You don't feel shortchanged when you are sold a product or when you use a service. Does the product and service it meets the customer needs? Does the company stand behind the customers? So first is product and services. It's a very important dimension of reputation. Second is the performance of the company. So in product and service, I have taken, high quality value for money. How does it perform? Performance is second dimension. Performance, I mean the performance of the corporation or the company. Is it profitable? Is it a profitable company? If you are a stakeholder or you are a shareholder, even if you are a banker, companies, because a company which is profitable will generally have a good reputation than the company which is not a profitable company. People will say, what kind of a company is this? It's a loss making company. Does it exceeds expectations of results? Does a company has strong growth prospects? So if it has strong growth prospects, you will say you will have the company will have a good reputation. Third is innovation. Is the company, are their activities innovative? Are they first to market? Do they adapt and change quickly, adapt to change? Fourth is leadership. Is the company well organized? Does it have appealing leaders? So Shiv Nadar is a very appealing leader for the IT community, the customers, and the people who work for them. Shiv Nadar of HCL is a he inspires confidence as a chairman of the corporation. He inspires confidence. He appeals to people. Excellent management. Does the company has a clear vision for the future? This is all leadership. So product and services number one, number two performance, number three innovation, number four leadership. On number five is workplace. Workplace has a lot to do with the reputation. Does the company reward its employees fairly? Do the employees speak well of an organization? So if you see an organization which is perpetually where the workers are striking against the management, where there is friction all over, workplace, is it an equal opportunity employer? Is the company concerned with the well-being of the employees? Sixth is governance. Are the processes open and transparent? Does the company behave ethically? Is it fair in the way it does business? So a company which keeps on getting a notice from income tax department for or evasion of import duties, it's not, the company is lacking in governance. And number seven, reputation. As per Reputation Institute, which has done many studies along with Boston, there is a study in 2008 which they did. I will come to that next. So citizenship means, is the company a good citizen? Is it environmentally responsible? Does it support good causes? For example, Tata support a lot of good causes. Their fight against cancer, research against cancer. When you think of cancer research, you think of Tatas in India. So this is the reputation. Tata company is a very good citizen of corporate India or the world. It's a noble organization. People say Tata mean trust. Okay. Does it have a positive influence on society or a negative influence on society? So these are seven dimensions of reputation, and the core areas I have already discussed with you. Reputation basically means a feeling of esteem, admiration. It's a or a good feeling, admiration, trustworthy feeling. Okay. So in 2008, the results of Boston College and Reputation Institute, they prove certain things. And what do they prove? They prove that there is definitely a linkage between reputation and corporate social responsibility. It says reputation is an intangible asset. It's very important to understand reputation is an intangible assets, and it accounts for 10% of the market value of the corporation. It's a huge statement, huh? This is a huge statement, and this was done after the research by Reputation Institute and Boston College that reputation accounts for 10% of market value of corporation. And what is the major influencer on reputation is CSR. 40% of reputation is driven by citizenship, governance, and workplace perception. This is huge. Of entire market value of a company, 10% is reputation, and 40% of reputation is driven by citizenship, governance, and workplace perception. Citizenship, I have told you, is environmentally responsible, supports good causes, positive influence on society. Governance means open and transparent company, behaves ethically, fair in the way it does business, and workplace means rewards employees, equal opportunity employees, concerned with the welfare. So it's huge, huh? And if you can add leadership to it, but another takeaway is that positive CSR perception. Understand, if the CSR perception about the company is positive, it leads to 65% of the public recommending that company. So it says 20 top US companies which were high on CSR. 65% of general public will recommend those companies. In comparison, the 20 CSR bottom companies, only 20% people will recommend those companies. So it's a huge result and a huge victory for CSR. CSR leads to enhancements of reputation. Reputation is 10% of the market value of corporation, and CSR is a component which influences reputation 45%, up to 45%. And the key reputational benefits are: one, it helps in recruiting good employees, retaining good employees. It helps in sales. I had explained to you in the previous slides. It helps you in market entry. If you are a reputed company, let us say you are a reputed company and you are entering a new market, this would mean you will have a positivity backing you as you enter that market. For example, if tomorrow Tatas want to enter the segment of two-wheeler, Tata is a respected company in automobile. It has a high reputation. Its CSR score is very high. It will help the market entry into new market. It will help the company enter into the market of scooters or two-wheelers. Fourth is license to operate. License to operate means the general licenses which are required under the law by state government or the national government or any form of government to operate a particular business. You get that licenses. You are treated fairly, and there are chances of you are getting a license is easy compared to the chances of a company which does not have a high CSR record. Bad behavior is reputation killer. This is the major finding of the study. So I have taken this study by Reputation Management and Boston College to prove the close link between reputation, CSR, and the overall well-being of the company. So I hope all of you understand it now, and it is crystal clear in your mind that CSR is not something uh, which is good only on paper or good to talk about in conferences, but it actually can impact your organization, your corporation positively. Thank you.